Hello, this is Eric with Eric's Gear, and I just had someone comment on a forum that I'm a part of ask how to change the saw on a bandsaw. So, what I'm going to show you today is how I do this task. It may not be the most efficient, it may not be the safest, but it's the way that I find is a lot safer than some other people doing it, how I've seen other people do it, and it works, so this is how I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do this on a ShopSmith attachment bandsaw. It should work on other bandsaws, done it on a couple other ones. It's very similar. So I'll just go from there and I'll show you what I do. So most likely you've gotten something like this. It's all nice and tightly wound up, and it's tied up so that it's not going to spring apart. And that's exactly what this thing wants to do. It's made out of spring steel. It's very sharp. You'd like to think that a brand new blade is sharp, but yes, it is very sharp. This is very large teeth as it is a wood cutting saw. Anything this small, as far as the blade is concerned, with this big of teeth is going to be a wood cutting saw. You can have metal cutting saws that are very large, industrial size saws that have this big of teeth, but not in this size of a blade. So you can tell just right away that this is a wood cutting blade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these twist ties off very carefully, because this can spring apart at any time and it can come back and get you, whether it's your hands, your face, your body, whatever. It's not fun. I've had it happen to me a couple of times. You tend to bleed, is what I'm trying to say. So to do this safely, I take it off and keep everything held together really well. And then, instead of trying to muscle it around with gloves or whatever, I am just going to give it a toss and let it do its thing away from me. So I'll just go ahead and do that right now. So one side is free. It's still dangerous, so I'm going to wrap that up. In fact, I'm even going to put it against my body so that I have 2 points of contact. And now it is super dangerous. So I'm going to grab it with the second hand before I let go. And then I'm just going to flick it here. That's not what I wanted to see. So I grabbed the glove because it could have expanded at any time, causing who knows how much damage. So now it is much safer. Yes, you can still get stuck by the points here. If you do something wrong, you can still slide your thumb or something across it, still cause bleeding, but it is much safer than it was wound up. So now I'm going to take you over to the bandsaw and show you how to get this on. So in this case, the blade has already been taken off, all the guts exposed and all of it. So I'm going to show you just a couple of things here. This is the free wheel at the top. So it just sits there and lets the drive wheel at the bottom do its thing. That's where most of bandsaws have their powers, down at the bottom. And then this looks like a tensioner system here. And so we have the drive here and the ShopSmith motor here. So, yep, that's the tensioner right here. So that is dropping the wheel as I turn that screw. Alright, so now what we have to do is this piece, I forgot to show you, it was the plate right here that keeps pieces from going through. We had to take this off because there's a slot on here and it was facing the wrong direction, and that's to help keep the blade contained. So in the table itself there is a slot right here so that we can get the blade through. So we have to get the blade through here, around this guard, over that wheel, and over this wheel. So now that we know our path, we have to know the direction of our teeth. So if you can see that, we see that our teeth are pointed down, and that's the way that we need to have it be for this. So it will be turning this way, clockwise, and that just happens to be the way that the blade is set up. If you happen to find that the blade is pointing the opposite direction, most of these blades are able to be turned inside out, basically. So you just grab it and you start twisting it, and you do this with gloves because it's not easy, and even just doing that I've left divots in my fingers, and that's another dangerous situation to be in. A lot of potential for blood loss, skin loss, you name it. So just be very careful in doing that. So we're going to go ahead and thread that through here. I haven't actually done it on this machine before, so I'm having a little bit of trouble with the gap here. So, okay. So making it up as I go, I can just push that up and slide it around. So we have to avoid this because that's going to not be where we want the blade to be. So we have to get it in between the tensioner and the wheel, and this almost at this point just automatically goes around the bottom wheel. One other aspect is the guide system down here, if I can get that in the shot. So we have to get it in the little slot here, like so. And we're going to have to do some fiddling because that's the way things go. So just making sure that everything is lined up appropriately. Just finger tension it for right now to make sure that everything's in the right spot. We have a bearing right here, and we can see a very specific wear pattern. So we want to make sure that's in approximately the right spot. Everything moves without any major resistance except from the motor, which I should have mentioned earlier, but you want to have this unplugged so that if you accidentally bump the switch on it, you don't have any problems. Something like this can take a finger or a hand off real quick, and again, dangerous situation. So since we've got everything lined up, I'm just going to go ahead and start tightening things up again. Give it another check. That seems good. That's pretty loose. And all guards should be able to move up and down with the blade installed. So this seems to want to fall off. So something's not quite aligned right yet. Nope. Yep. Oh, I forgot to align it in there. So that was pushing it forward, so we can push everything back again. And let's try this again. So it keeps falling out of the bottom. Maybe that just wasn't aligned right to begin with. But essentially that's how it's done. I'm gonna have to see what to do about this bottom piece and see if there's any adjustment here that I can be making, and if there's a better way to tighten that up than what I've been doing with just the fingers. But that's essentially how you change a blade. As far as this piece goes, it just slides on and snaps down. Then you just put the cover on. In this case, it's one piece. You have 3 bolt holes. It just fits on. And you've got it back together. So I'm not going to waste your time right now as far as messing with the adjustments to it. That's not what I want this video to be about right now. So I'll go ahead and leave off here and say that this is how you change the bandsaw blade on most models that I've seen. There's minor differences that you're just going to have to figure out on your own because I can't do every single model. But they should be fairly minor differences. So hopefully you can figure that out from here. Thanks for watching. See you around.